ahead and get cozy on your back. Keep your knees bent. Plant the pads of your feet. Oh, and just feel your body make connection with the earth beneath you, wherever it's at. Let the arms fall where they feel good. Maybe that's out by your sides. Maybe that's on your belly or palms on your belly. Finding a comfortable seat here. Take a moment and wiggle the toes. Notice what textures you feel beneath them. You might notice what temperature your toes are in this moment. And then let them find stillness on your mat, bringing your awareness now to the pad of each foot. Feeling the weight of your foot pressed down into the mat. Taking a moment to note what that sensation feels like, the heaviness. Maybe it's comforting. Maybe it's a little achy. We just notice the sensation under the pads of our feet. And then allow your awareness to travel up into the low back. Feel your low back pressed against the earth, just gently and effortlessly settled. You might allow your next inhale to fill your belly deep, let it stretch and fill. And then as you exhale, release any effort from the belly. Feel the whole of your back settle down, melting down, supported by the mat. And just like the bottoms of your feet, notice what the pressure feels like. The whole of your back supported, cradled by the earth beneath you. This effortless being. We simply notice and witness what it feels like to lay here in the moment, allowing everything else to drift away. Now take a moment to connect with your natural breath in your body, noticing it just as it is. Feeling your body fill with each inhale and gently relax and release with each exhale. Your natural breath in your body, just as it is. This is the moment in our practice when we choose to become the witness without judgment. We're not here to decide if anything we do on the mat is enough or not enough. We're here just to observe, to experience, to let it be, and to choose to be radically present during your explorations and observations. On your next inhale, see if you can fill the lungs and the belly up all the way, nice and full. You might imagine filling like a balloon. And then as you exhale, release your breath, nice and slow. Again, on your inhale, fill the body nice and full. Feel the tension as your muscles stretch. And then see if you can't slow your exhale down just a little more. Again, filling the body when you're ready, all the way full, feeling that stretch and pull. And then exhale, seeing if you can let it extend just a little longer than the last. Continue taking these deep body breaths and noticing how long you can extend your exhale for. We'll do a few more of these. In yoga, we call this the Durga breath, but in DBT therapy, they've coined it the ratio breath, where we take deep inhales and then we extend the exhale out nice and long. And when we extend our exhale, we stimulate the vagal brake, one of our vagal nerves that runs from the base of the skull down to the heart. And our exhales, by stimulating that vagal brake, slow our heart rate down. The slowing of our heart rate signifies to our brain and nervous system that we're safe, that it's okay to be where we are and experience what we're experiencing. Continue these ratio breaths for as long as you like, knowing you can come back to your natural breath as it pleases you. But from here, we're going to give some love to our low back, specifically our iliopsoas. And we've done a lot of psoas and iliopsoas work lately. And part of that is because our iliopsoas and our psoas, when they are tight, when they are tense, which is where we carry a lot of our emotional stress in our body, right down here in our hips, we tend to think that deep stretching is what's going to release the pent-up energy, trauma, whatever we're holding in our hips. And what we're finding out through study, through somatics, through modern science, is that it's not the deep stretching and the forcing that we're looking for. It's a gentle awareness of movement. And our iliopsoas reacts to our emotions. So when we are experiencing anxiety as we move, our iliopsoas is tensing, it's dehydrating itself, it's desperately trying to protect you. And so what we're going to spend the next 20 minutes doing is letting it know that it is perfectly all right, loving on it, being gentle, and inviting it through slowness and awareness to release and let go. I'm going to roll onto my side just to give you a visual here. The portions of our body that we'll be focusing on are the low back, right here where your back naturally settles into the earth with your knees bent here. And then our sacrum, which is just below the back, and it's 5 fused vertebrae below the lumbar spine. And then below the sacrum is the tailbone. So we have the low back, the sacrum, the tailbone. And as you find yourself knees bent, notice once more your low back, settled, nestled beneath you. Feel the weight of it. And then we're going to rock or tilt our pelvic bowl gently towards our knees. So we're pulling our tailbone up towards the back of our head, a gentle arch in the low back. How can I say this? We'll gently arch the low back and we'll feel the pressure travel from the low back down into the sacrum. So you might imagine where that sacrum is, keeping this gentle arch in the low back, feeling the sacrum naturally press down into the earth. And we'll hold this. And this low back arch here really invites you to breathe deep down into the belly. So on your next inhale, you might send the breath as far down into the low belly as you can send it before exhaling. Filling deep the low belly as we gently, gently press down through the sacrum. On your next exhale, release the back, release that arch, let the low back settle back down into the mat. And again, just notice what it feels like to let go of any and all effort in the body. This time we'll again find that low back arch. We're tilting the pelvic bowl, but this time we're sending the pressure down from the low back, down to the sacrum, all the way down to the tailbone. So we've really exploring the range of motion of this low back arch. We're keeping the movement in our pelvis alone. And as you press down into the tailbone, breathing deep into the low belly, you might notice the back of your head pressed gently into the mat as you do. We just take stock and we notice all the parts of our body engaged here as we press the tailbone in, the back of the head for support. You might start to feel an ache in the hips, and on an exhale, release that low back arch. Settle down into the mat, let go of all effort. You might shake the hips out just a little bit. Give it a little love. Now that we've played with arching the low back, we're going to reverse that motion. So pressing gently into the pads of your feet will curl our pelvic bowl up. So our tailbone curves towards our belly button. And as we gently press into the feet and curl up through the tailbone, you'll notice that the low portion of your back presses very firmly against the earth now. So keeping this gentle pressure in the feet, this gentle tilt of the pelvic bowl, your tailbone, wanting to curl up towards the belly button, but not leaving the mat at all. We notice the pressure of the low back. We notice the pressure in the pads of the feet. On an inhale, release all effort, let the body melt, let it relax. I say this so often, and it's true forever. The letting go is as important as the effort, as the showing up. So once more, let's find this arch in the low back. We send the pelvic bowl tilted away from the heart center. So we're arching the low back, pressing down through the tailbone, gently down through the back of the head, breathing into the low belly as we find this gentle arch. Holding and breathing, relaxing through the belly, relaxing through the arms and the shoulders. We're letting go of effort anywhere except in the portion of our body required to keep this gentle low back arch, pressing the tailbone into the mat. Notice how sensation builds, how the force builds in the body, this energy. You might notice it as a warmth building, maybe an aching, knowing that you can release the body anytime you like, but seeing if you might explore this for just a few more breaths, this gentle sensation as it builds. And on an exhale, release the low back completely, release that arch, let the hips settle, give them a little wiggle, give them some love. And then once more, let's reverse that motion. So press into the feet. We're going to tuck the tailbone up towards the belly button and hold, feeling the low back pressured, feeling the pressure in the pads of the feet. Bringing ease to the jaw, the throat, and the tongue as you do this. Holding and breathing. It doesn't take a lot. So often we fooled ourselves into thinking that when we explore the depths of the range of our motion, that's when we find release and flexibility. But it turns out all we need to do is invite our awareness deep into the physical body and witness each and every movement and let it relax and release the body. When you're ready, release all effort here. Let the body melt. We're going to move with our breath, which is almost too fast for this. So if moving with the breath doesn't feel good for your body, move more slowly than that. But maybe coming back to those ratio breaths, those nice slow inhales and exhales. Let's take our inhale into the belly, fill the belly up, and as we do, take that low back arch, feeling the pressure travel down from the low back to the sacrum, now to the tailbone. The tailbone presses in as we fill the belly. And then as you exhale, we're going to reverse the motion, press through the pads of the feet, gently tuck the tailbone up towards the belly button. Feel the low back, press in, and then inhale, reverse the motion, sending the pressure all the way down to the tailbone as we arch the low back. Exhale, press through the pads of the feet. Inhale, sending that arch into the low back, the breath deep into the low belly, pressing through the tailbone and the back of the head. Exhale, curl the low back, rest. Let's release all effort here. Shake out the hips. Beautiful, beautiful. The work that you do here, releasing the psoas, brings ease to all of your hips, to your low back, to your legs, all the way up to your shoulders. We forget how deeply connected we are from head to toe. So anytime that you're feeling stress in the body, anytime you have low back pain or your hips hurt, you might find yourself here making those gentle, slow, very mindfully aware movements back and forth with the hips. When you're ready, grab that towel, keep it handy. We're going to come into bridge. So I'm going to walk my heels of my feet towards my glutes, my butt cheeks, and then I'm going to shimmy my shoulder blades together. So I open up through the hips my hips, open up through the heart center. And I'm really feeling the backs of my arms press against the mat. From here, press down to the pads of the feet, lift the pelvis up towards the ceiling. We squeeze the glutes, we squeeze the butt cheeks, and we hold and breathe. And maybe your hips lift right up off the mat, and maybe we're just imagining they lift, pressing to the pads of the feet. Wherever we are, it is beautiful. We honor the body. And then exhale, lower the hips back down, jiggle the hips out, release, and let go of all effort. One more time, we'll prepare for this bridge lift by pressing to the pads of the feet, lifting the pelvis up, and then grab that blanket nearby, and we're going to place this roll beneath our hips from left to right, the length of it. And then I'm going to lower my hips down onto my blanket roll or my towel roll. And this is just going to help keep this tilt in my pelvic bowl, right? Bring some ease as I do some hip work here. So you might find that you want to move this blanket further up or down the spine as we do these exercises. Listen to your body. You know what's best. I enjoy taking both hands on either side of my towel and grabbing it, but you don't have to. It makes no difference. Leave your hands where you like. But from here, we're going to lift our knee towards the ceiling. So I'm just lifting my foot up. I'm not tucking my knee in towards my chest. As I lift my foot, my knee towards the ceiling, I'm pressing into my opposite foot as support. So just notice as you lift one knee towards the ceiling, press into the pad of the other foot and notice how it stabilizes you. And from here, we'll imagine that there's a pencil sticking out the top of our knee, and we're going to draw little circles on the ceiling. And as you draw these circles, let them be small, right? Let them start out small, maybe the size of a salad plate or a baseball, who knows? And then just notice as you draw these little circles, feeling this rotation in the hip socket. It doesn't take a lot to start building sensation. Maybe a heat starts to build, but feel this rotation down in the hip socket. Feel the weight of the leg shift as you draw these circles. And now you might let these circles grow a little bigger and a little bigger. Maybe each circle is a little bigger than the last. Taking breaks anytime you need by dropping that foot down and shaking the hips out. And then when you're ready, lifting it back up and finding those circles, letting them grow and grow. And maybe you want to extend the leg long, and instead of drawing with the knee, you draw with the toes. So you decide big, slow circles, as big as feels good in your hip joint. And we are not here to win any prizes for flexibility. What we're working on now is stabilizing the joint, building strength and awareness. On an exhale, bend that knee, drop the pad of that foot. Let's switch sides, right? Shake the hips out. It's a lot of work. When you're ready, lifting that opposite knee towards the ceiling, planting through the pad of that opposite foot as a brace, as a strong foundation, and then starting those little circles in whatever direction you like. Letting them be little at first, really drawing your awareness of mind down into that hip joint. And notice the weight of the leg shift as you draw these circles, and then let the circles grow and grow and grow. Maybe you extend the leg long now, exploring them with toe pointed, noticing what changes. Have the rotations increased in intensity? Does it take more effort? On an exhale, plant that foot down, shake the hips out. We're going to switch sides. Bending that knee, letting it rise up towards the ceiling, and we'll start circles in the opposite direction. And if you're not sure what the opposite direction is, mindlessly draw a circle, and then whatever circle you drew it in, draw the opposite. We trick the brain, right, through our inattention to do what is automatic. And oftentimes, that is what's habitual. So finding those little circles and letting them grow in the opposite direction. We're not only releasing stress and tension from the low back, from the hips, but we're building strength and awareness. You might extend the leg long as you find these circles, if you like. A few more, nice and slow, letting them grow as large as honors your hip socket. And then on an exhale, bend the knee, shake the hips out. Other side, lift the knee up, finding those circles in the opposite direction. Letting them grow at a pace that feels good to you. Nobody knows your body like you know your body. Not a soul on earth. And when you honor yourself, when you listen to yourself, even when the whole world says you're wrong, there is power in that. Know that there is space for you always to deeply, deeply honor yourself here. 2 or so more rotations. Maybe the legs straight, maybe the knees still bent, you decide. And then on an exhale, bend that knee, plant the pads of the feet. Ooh, let's do some windshield wipers. We'll walk our feet out about mat distance apart and then gently let the knees fall from side to side. So I'm going to let my knees fall to one side and I'm going to let them hang there for just a moment. And I might give my knees just a little jiggle, letting them hang heavy, releasing any effort in my hip flexors, in the outside of my hips, the inside of my hips. What can you let go of here? Hanging out in this windshield wiper. And then on an inhale of your choice, let the knees rise up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, let them fall the opposite direction. And once again, maybe you give those knees a little jiggle, give the torso a little jiggle. Let yourself settle into this posture. Let it be easy. Can you melt through the jaw and the tongue? Can you let the shoulders relax down into the earth? The belly releasing effort along with the hips and the thighs, all the way down to the knees, the calves and the ankles. On an inhale, let the knees rise up towards the ceiling. We don't have a lot of time left, and I want to end our practice with some twists for our spine. It's a really wonderful way to balance out a practice in general. So we'll do this two ways. You might, keeping this towel underneath the hips, invite your knees out towards your armpits. And the towel underneath the hips brings a little ease to this posture, right? The more towel, the more boost you have underneath the hips, the more ease it brings when you invite your knees out towards your armpits or up towards your chest. So from here, you might find a gentle rock to the left and the right, letting that towel or that blanket massage the low back, the kidneys, the adrenal glands that sit above the kidneys. The adrenal glands are responsible for producing adrenaline. And if you are existing in the world today, gosh, if you are a human being, chances are your adrenal glands are spent. So when we massage them with this sweet little rock, just loves on them, stimulates them, increases blood flow to the area. So much more than a workout. And then when you're ready, let's plant the pads of the feet. Let's walk them towards our glutes, shimmy our shoulders together. We're going to lift our hips just high enough to remove the towel and the blanket. And then finding our twist one of two ways. We can walk our heels towards our glutes and then bring our knees together. Let them fall over to the side as we tee our arms out wide. Here's one twist. Noticing where you feel this twist along the spine. Maybe it's in the low back, in the hips. And then whichever way your knees are pointed, I'll invite you, if you'd like to try it, to lift your head directly off of your mat and then turn your gaze, as much as feels good, in the opposite direction of your knees before settling your head back down onto your mat. And now we've wrung out our spine like a dish rag. Our lumbar and sacral spine twisting one direction, while our cervical spine, the neck, twists another direction. This is so good for the organs in our body, not just the length of our spine and our neck. You might send your breath deep into the low belly, feel it expand, and then as you exhale, release any effort in the low belly and the low back. Taking a few more breaths to melt, and then as you do, let the body shift. If you're melting and releasing into this posture and your feet slide or your knees slide, let them. Find an ease and effortlessness for just a couple more breaths here. Making any adjustments anytime you like. And then we'll unravel ourselves on this twist by rolling our hips back onto the mat, gaze skyward, and we'll prepare for it on the opposite side of the body. So once more, I'm walking my heels towards my glutes, bringing my knees together, and I'm letting them fall towards the opposite side as I tee my arms out wide. Breathing deep into the low belly if you enjoyed that. Exhaling, releasing all effort from the low spine. And then if you'd like to bring the cervical spine, the upper portion of your spine into this equation, gently lift the head from the mat, turning your gaze in the opposite direction of the knees before letting it rest back down. Finding ease in the jaw, the cheeks, your eyebrows, before once more sending your breath down deep into the belly and letting go of any effort in the hips and the thighs, the calves and the ankles. Melting and being as much as the body invites. For a few more breaths. When you're ready, rolling out of this twist, bringing the hips back down onto the mat. Whew, and we've come to the end of our practice. And so I'm going to end it just like this on my back. You might take a few moments for final Shavasana, if that feels good. Straightening the legs out, noticing how the low back feels as we're stretched out long. You might end practice with some pandiculation, which in somatics is that yawning and stretching that you do when you wake up. Pandiculation is moving and tensing and stretching your body in ways that deeply awaken this sensation. It also releases dopamine. So if you're stressed out, if you're feeling tired and spent, if you're struggling with chronic pain, right? I do. Pandiculation is a beautiful movement to bring to the body while you take deep breaths to bring ease. Oh, reduce pain, increase range of motion, and release dopamine. You're welcome to stay on your back. I'm going to bend my knees, roll over onto my side body, and press myself up into an easy seated posture for a moment. Wherever you are, soften your gaze or close your eyes when you get there. And take a moment to thank yourself. Thank yourself for showing up for you, for your body, your heart, your mind, your soul in these little moments. They are powerful. And so are you. Thank you for practicing with me today.